GB head coach Pete Russell has announced his 32-player long list for training camp ahead of the 2023 World Championships beginning in late April. This long list will need to be cut down to 22 players plus an emergency goalie. And it is a strong long list, as you can see. So let's talk about who we think will make the final cut. Starting with goaltending. I think it's clear Ben Bones is going to be either the starter or the backup. He has had a decent season. I think at times has struggled with consistency. Having great games, and then some stinkers. But this is a guy who always gears up for the big games. And I think will likely be the starter. Next we have Jackson Whistle for sure. I think at times he has been boxed in as the clear backup. But I am not sure that should be a guarantee. I think he has had a really good season. And depending on how training camp goes, he could certainly dress as the number one guy. And Jordan Headley will be penciled in as the emergency backup goalie. But the fact is he likely doesn't get into any games here. Now in terms of the blue line, I'm going to start it by taking Evan Mosey. My reasoning is, I believe Russell will take 8 defensemen and 12 forwards. He really likes that model, and on the world stage you need that depth on the blue line. But I think he goes for this option because of Evan Mosey. You can bring him in as a blue liner, but also move him to the forward position if needed. He can play either wing, which is useful, and I think more than anything you need to bring speed to this lineup. There is no way you can leave this guy at home. Also, with some older guys on this roster, you need guys who can move into different positions, and I think he still has the ability to play top 6 minutes in a speedy forechecking role. Next I have to take Halbert. He wasn't available to them last year. But as he is now eligible, I think you have to take him. It might be controversial, but to me he is the best defenseman available to them. His ability to change the game. You need these kinds of game breakers. Whether it's a massive goal, or a massive hit, you need this guy. And his leadership as well, playing as captain of the Blaze this year, in a really successful campaign. I am then going to take Sam Ruop. I think he has played fantastic for GB in his most recent call-up. And he has been excellent on both sides of the puck. Having these two-way guys in that top 4 is crucial. And I think it's also important to bring in guys with winning habits. The success he has shared in Belfast these last couple of years is needed for the team. Next I am taking Ben O'Connor. Do I love his defensive game? Not really. But you cannot deny what he has done in Guildford this year at almost a point per game. He can quarterback that power play. And I think the depth of bringing 8 defensemen means you can pair him up with someone who can cover those gaps. I think you could argue that you already have Ruop and Halbert that can bring those offensive minutes. However, I think the area team GB has struggled most with his goal scoring. I don't think you can leave O'Connor at home. Next I am taking Sam Jones. I really like the player this guy has become. He has become that two-way player we were hoping for. And he has added some snarl to his game, at times making big hits, and winning those board battles. I also think it's key to bring that youth to the team. We have plenty of veterans on this roster, but that youth is key. Speaking of vets, I cannot leave Phillips at home. A purely defensive guy, great on the penalty kill, blocking shots. I have found he is one of those guys that European forwards don't know how to beat. Next I'm taking another vet in Mark Richardson. I don't think you can deny this guy's consistency. I don't know if he can break a game apart anymore. But he just doesn't make mistakes. I think he is the type of player you can put with O'Connor. Lastly, I just cannot decide between Tetlow and Batch. Both big, bruising D-men. Do you guys with the youth option in Tetlow? Or do you go with a guy who has done it year in and year out? It's really tough to leave either guy at home. I think it just depends on pairings and performance in training camp. I do sadly think Clements is the odd one out. He has had a great season, but the depth this roster has, you have to leave great players off the final cut, I'm afraid. And I think there are other guys that can play his role better here. Now moving on to the forward group. Again I'm going for a 12 forward option, with Mosey as the optional 13th if you pull him into the forward ranks. I'm going to go through it from top line through to the 4th line. And starting off with your top left winger is Robert Dowd. Probably the best goal scorer on the team. The things he has done on the international level, and at home with the Steelers is incredible. And you need that shot. Again, I think Britain's issue in the past has been offense, so I don't think you leave anyone at home who can score. I have Ben Lake as that number 1 centerman. The thing I have noticed is that this team is pretty strong down the middle. Pete Russell has plenty of options playing center. I just think Ben Lake is fantastic. One of the best guys in the face-off dots, and he brings so much skill to that top line. I then have Johnny Curran as our top right winger. He has had a fantastic season this year with Coventry, and he has really found his goal-scoring touch. And the way he has found goals from different places is a useful asset. Next I am taking Liam Kirk. He has had a funny couple of years. I think we were all hoping to see him progress to potentially a call-up to the NHL. However, last year he really struggled with injuries. And this season has bounced from the American League, to the East Coast League, and now to the Liga. However, I think he might be Team GB's best forward. And although I have him on the second line, I do believe he can produce the most offense. He has great speed and skill, and has really been working on that shot. Next I am taking Mike Hammond as that second line center. He has had a really tough year. But who didn't on the Panthers? I just think he wasn't a good fit in Nottingham's season. I don't think the Panthers allowed him to flex that offense in their system. He is a pass-first guy, so I think he will be great with Kirk. But I could see you also putting him with guys like Dowd or Curran who can snipe the puck. To round out the top six I have Brett Perlini on the right. So, I think this team could be viewed as a bit weak on the right side. I do like Perlini, I would prefer him in a third line role I think, perhaps as third line center, I think that could be good, but I'm just not sure who you move up. I have him tentatively penciled in that second line winger spot. On third line left wing I am taking Joshua Waller. A left side of Dowd, Kirk and Waller is an incredible luxury. And I think having guys that can move into top six roles is key. If we have an injury in that top six, Waller is definitely a guy who can step up. He has not found great success playing internationally himself, but at just 23 I think he could have a good year, and find that shot. I have Ben Davis at third line center, and I think Devils fans know where I'm going with this line. I don't think it is a bad thing to have a speedy third line center, who is great on the penalty kill. Now ideally I think we would like him in a fourth line defensive role. But he plays so well with Joshua Waller, I think he can help Waller find success. And rounding at that third line I am taking Sam Duggan. Again great on the penalty kill. He is a bit of a crash and bang type player. Causing chaos in front of the net and bringing that energy. This line is pulled straight from the Devils, but having that instant chemistry is a great thing, especially when there are not too many games to play. You need that instant chemistry. Now on to the fourth line. I debated a lot over this one, but I am taking Jonathan Phillips. He is one of the fastest guys, and you need that speed on the international stage. Plus I don't think it is a bad thing having a feel-good story. Phillips' last run with GB, that is something this team can really rally around. I think you have to bring Yano. At fourth line center I have Matty Myers. I think having that solid vet down the middle is key. He can be useful on the second power play unit in front of the net. And he also has that ability to move into a third line role if needed. My only issue is his speed. I have noticed a drop off in pace this year. Is he fast enough to keep up? And lastly, I am taking Ollie Betteridge. I have him penciled in with Myers on that 4 hours line. We know they can play well together. But I actually think Betteridge could move into that second line slot, with Perlini moving down. Betteridge really has improved his goal scoring in recent years and could be a versatile forward to move up. And that's my full roster. I know I am leaving some pretty good talent behind. I think Cam Critchlow is right there. He has a great year with the Storm, and I think the team could for sure use his offense. Rob Lahovich is right there as well. But at this stage in his career, I think I prefer guys like Davis and Duggan to provide those defensive minutes. I think Ross Venus is also right there, and could be taken. We just need to see how training camp goes. I don't think Kieran Brown or Brandon Whistle are quite there yet. Brown has struggled to bring his goal-scoring touch to the elite league. And although Whistle has found a spot with the Steelers, I just think there are other guys. Cade Nielsen has not had the greatest year, and I don't think he makes this team, but I hope I am wrong. And Sean Norris might find a spot if they feel they need help on that right side. But I think they have other guys that can move around in that lineup. I know I am leaving some good players off the roster, but that is a really good problem to have. In years gone by, it was too easy to select the roster, but now we have plenty of great options. Good players are going to be left at home. But what do you think? What does your rosters look like? Who makes the cut? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, take care.